Hey folks, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with AstrologyMojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. Well, here we are. We're in eclipse season, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming Libra lunar eclipse. And, the last time we had lunar eclipse in Libra, let me see, I had to write it down because I can't remember all this data, was March of 2016. And I like to look back through patterns to see what was happening then and what you might expect now to go further with. So basically, come say hello to me. We're talking about the lunar eclipse upcoming on March 25th, although we're already in the energy of it. And for some people, they feel it more than others. And some people just, skippity doo through their day. That's it. They don't even know that it's happening. But what I'd like to say is really that the planets don't do anything to us, that we live in a cooperation with the cosmos. So that when the planets make a move, you feel it, just like you would feel anything. You feel the weather. You can be influenced by anything, but not controlled. So the planets aren't controlling you. However, the sun and the moon don't control us, but we live by their set of rules. So, we could do planting by the sun and the moon. We can, watch the tides come in and go out. We are mostly water in our bodies and on the earth. So we feel that a little bit more than we would a planetary shift into a constellation. So when we have eclipses every 6 months, typically there's two in tandem, a solar and a lunar. And then what happens? Well, we start to realize that we're the ones creating our reality. So what do you want to do with that energy? And the eclipses can help you to fast track your progress. Pay attention, and that'll help you to fast track your progress with anything. You want to get a job, you want to move to a different city, you want to make more money, you want better health. But this particular lunar eclipse at 5 degrees, 7 minutes. Oh, here, let's take a look. 5 degrees, 7 minutes of Libra, which is happening on March 25th, is an indication that you need to harmonize something. Libra represents harmony. The moon represents feminine energy, if not an actual woman or child. And this part of us that really wants for everybody to get along is in opposition to the sun. That is, the sun is the masculine force, the proactive element of your world, whatever that looks like to you. And so with this, and also this particular lunar eclipse at 5 degrees is opposing Neptune as well. So what does that look like? Well, Libra is all about harmony and partnerships and also the law, legalities. Libra is guided by the planet of Venus, as so is Taurus, but it's expressed differently. And so with a moon in Libra, we're looking to harmonize and not take sides. We're looking to be the referee, the ump, the mediator, the moderator between the extremes. And there comes a time in everyone's life where they have to take a stand. And that stand may not fare well with other people. And so it's difficult for some people they don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to make a decision that makes someone else feel invalidated, unheard. But there comes a time when you are holding in your frequency, you're holding in your energy, you're holding in your emotions, you're holding in your opinion for the sake of others. And a lot of times women, right? Women will minimize who they are so that other people can feel better. During this Libra lunar eclipse at 5 degrees 7 minutes on March 25th, this whole time frame, we are March 7th right now. So we're already in the vibe of it. And what I want to impart is that if you look back in time to see what was it like during the last eclipse 6 months ago, but what was it like during the last lunar eclipse in Libra? And the last lunar eclipse happened in March of 2016. Well, I got to count on my hands, on my fingers. 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 8 years ago. So think back 8 years ago to how you were seeing your world. Were you creating harmony? Was there a place where you felt like you had to, you know, moderate between extremes, or in your own mind and body? That's where it starts, because everything in the world outside of you, everything outside of you that comes into your stratosphere, your atmosphere. Hey, Barbie's here. Everything that comes to you is there because of you. Because when you vibrate a frequency, you will match a frequency and it will come to you. So someone might say or do something that feels off. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to keep the peace and not speak your mind? And we don't have to, express everything that we feel. Doesn't have to come shooting out of our mouths. But during this lunar eclipse, and it depends on where you see it in your chart, where Libra is at 5 degrees in your natal chart, you will see and feel and experience the topics involved. So let's just say that you have Libra in the 7th house. In this particular general chart, we're looking at Libra, the moon in Libra, the lunar eclipse, 5 degrees, 7 minutes in the 7th house. Well, let's just say this is your chart, which would make you either an Aries or a Pisces rising. So where in your relationships do you feel like there is harmony needed? Where maybe you're single, or maybe you're thinking, yeah, I don't do marriage well, or have a great relationship. It's just, I'm looking for the right type of client or clientele in my life. Or when I work with vendors, I always have to bite my tongue because I could be doing their job, but it's not my job. And so we start to head case. And the Libra energy often will refer to data and look at what's the information, because Libra is an air sign. So what's the information? But what I'm asking you to do is ask yourself, how does it feel? All right, okay. You get the information down. Your sister and your brother have been arguing over who's going to take care of mom and what's called for. How does it feel to be the one who's observing and then being very neutral, but yet you're not neutral? Some part of you is saying, my brother has a good point there. So you want to be able to express yourself in a way that's not extreme. And it being a lunar eclipse can be very emotional. So what part of you is saying, I've held my tongue for too long, or I've vacillated on an issue in my life? Do I take that job or that job? I've been weighing. I'm in my head. I can't figure it out. And so when you feel the matter at hand, it's important to, you don't want to make an impulsive decision during any part of your life, really, unless, the building's on fire and it's like you run. That's impulsive. But to make be more deliberate and harmonized in your decision making, especially during the lunar eclipse. And then following up is the solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th. And if you haven't read the blurb, I'm not sure if you're watching this in Facebook or on YouTube, but I also am giving double eclipse readings. Let me just post that here for you, for anyone who's interested. I'm going to be looking at exactly where the both eclipses fall in your chart, let's look back to at March of 2016 and see what were you manifesting, what was in your stratosphere at the time, and also including Pluto in Aquarius, because the next 20 years is going to be revolutionary for everyone. Now, in a previous show, I talked about what was going on. I still have my notes here. What was going on the last time Pluto was in Aquarius? And there was revolution. There was evolution in medicine, in scientific discoveries, but as far as politics, there was revolution. It came down to uh, I want to say, I don't know the scientific term for it, but when matter converges into one tiny dot before it explodes, supernova. That's where we're headed energetically, politically. But what will that mean? It all depends on what you put into it, the vibe you feed on, because whatever thoughts you feed, whatever emotions you feed, grow and become your reality. So I think it's important too that during this eclipse time that you see what comes your way. Number one, what are you personally attracting into your world? Because you've made that, you've created that, and if you don't like it, then you can easily change it. And that is by becoming present and saying to yourself, okay, that's in my sphere for a reason. I stepped on somebody's toes inadvertently. Maybe I upset their temperament, their mood, I threw in an idea that they were not ready for, and it put up a defense. And because Libra, guided by Venus, represents protection and defense as well. So we're looking at defense systems, we're looking at strategies to create harmony, right? We're always going to come back to harmony. And there is a saying in astrology about the fist in the velvet glove, which is ascribed to Libra energy. The fist in the velvet glove. So it's like, I'm going to gently, stroke your ego, talk to you about the problem, but I am standing strong. And I'm not going to I'm not giving it up, because I'm looking for harmony. I'm looking for a strategy. And I want to say toward momentum. Where is Mars? Let's see. Mars is in Pisces, or will be by the time we are at the lunar eclipse in March, March 25th. And so the momentum, Mars, will be toward more metaphysical, more spiritual, more heartfelt solutions, or absolute denial and cynicism. So let's find a solution that helps us regarding the issues in our personal world before we start adding and stacking what's going to happen out there, because we're creating out there. Every single person on this earth is creating what's happening out there. And you might say, I'm just in my, I'm in my puttering in my garden. I'm doing my thing. How does that work? Well, you can put love into the world, and that affects the outcome. You can donate money to children and people of war, and that affects their outcome. You can sit and criticize all the people who make the supposed rules, and that affects the outcome. So it all depends on where you want to take your vibe and your frequency. So when I'm looking at, okay, here's the lunar eclipse in Libra, let's cover what some of Libra represents. Harmony, yes. Protection and defense, yes. Aesthetics as well. Maybe it has nothing to do with anyone except you look in the mirror and say, what are these spots on my face, or what is happening to my skin is drying out? And so then you start to look for an an esthetician, that word trips me up, an esthetician to help you. You start looking to smooth out the literal wrinkles instead of the figurative or the emotional or the intellectual wrinkles. And that takes you to a place of, I want to feel calmer and better. And I know that my lifestyle is causing stress. So, where can I create harmony in my world? First, by realizing, where do I go to an extreme? Libra is a mental energy, it's an air sign, and it goes to extremes. And it will be tolerant, patient, but not really feeling the feelings that need to be felt in order to alter the vibration. And then suddenly they go to the extreme, or it's like, hey, wait a second, that's wrong. Justice is one of the scales of justice are Libra's symbol. And so it looks to see, where can we create harmony? Yes, and be unbiased. But let's remember that we're also feeling things. It doesn't matter if you're a Libra sun, rising, moon or not. Everyone is going to be feeling, how can I harmonize something? How can I make a stand without offending anyone? And that includes yourself, right? So if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Libra lunar eclipse at 5 degrees, 7 minutes. That happens on March 25th in the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, but and we're entering spring in the Northern Hemisphere. Winter's about to happen in the Southern Hemisphere. So you could be looking at gardening. I have known so many Librans who have the green thumb. They can pull a weed and a flower will grow. And it's, how do they do that? I as a Capricorn rising look at the weeds and say, okay, they flower and they look kind of pretty. I'll just leave them. Because I used to kill cactus. I didn't know how, but it's getting better. I am really learning how to work with plants. And so I could put more harmony and better oxygen into my home space and my living space, because it's my thinking space and my being space. Okay, so just like I'm trying to think of the best example. It would be a boxer who knows how to defeat their opponent, but would rather have a conversation. That's different than just like, one punch to the gut. Because Libra energy is also famous for a sucker punch. They give a sucker punch or they expect one. And then when it comes, they're shocked. Because again, the feeling state has to be felt. And it being a moon in Libra emphasizes the ethereal nature of the Libra vibe, which is, let me think about that. Let me think about how that feels instead of feeling the feeling. So if you are a Libra sun, rising, or moon, I want you to put emphasis on, the situation, but how does it feel? How does it feel? And how can I create a harmony? How can I be at the center of the flow? The infinity sign. And a lot of times that relates to asking for help. So if you're faced with a sudden situation, let's say you've not reconciled with an ex, and you're going on, and you're saying, I don't want to, like create any kind of tension. It's already tense. I just want it to be over. I just want to smooth out the wrinkles. Then go into your private space and, punch a pillow, literally. Just get some energy out of your body and move the frequency. And then, that's not fair. And I put in so much blah, blah. And you do that. But you set a timer for like 4 or 5 minutes, tops, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay. That's out. Now we want to settle and we want to look at, what are we grateful for? The harmony that we have. Where do you see harmony in the world, in your life? There is a book by, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's a book called Zoom. It has nothing to do with our modern day Zoom. Istvan Banyi, Banyai, I believe. Istvan Banyi created a book, two books actually, called Zoom. One's red and one's blue. I'm talking about the red Zoom book. And there are no words in this book. And everything is such a visual encapsulation of how we view life. You look at a page and there's an image. It's like, oh, that's a pretty image. You turn the page and then it's as if the camera pulls back on our lens and we see that that image is part of another image. And you're like, oh, I, I didn't real wow. And then you turn the page and then we come back and we come back, or we go forward. We look at an image and then suddenly the next page is we're zoomed in a little closer, and then we're zoomed in closer, and then we're zoomed in closer. And by the time you're done with the book, you're thinking, I had no idea that that image would be that part of image, that would be part of that image or part of that image. And it's astounding that if you stopped and looked at your life and what you affect and how you affect others and the world and the environment around you, and how you are, and the effect that is created because of that. What's the vibration that you put into the world? You want things to be happy and prosperous, and don't we all? But when there's disharmony, what's your first thing? Do you hide? Do you speak out and, rage against the machine? Do you stand up and create a voice and then ask everyone in your neighborhood to sign the petition? I mean, that's not right or wrong, but the judgment that can come from withholding your feelings is going to be huge. So during this lunar eclipse, and if you can look back into your calendars and go back to March of 2016, because when I saw this, when I was taking some notes and I thought, oh gosh, 2016, where was I? What was happening? What was I doing in business? Because whenever we see a grouping of eclipses, we see the next level of you, the next level of you. Because everything is cyclical on this earth. The patterns come back around again. Like Jupiter enters a constellation every 12 years. It comes back into the same constellation every 12 years. So if you want to know about Jupiter, you go, oh, what was I doing 12 years ago within a year? Oh my gosh, I'm ready for expansion on the next level. So eclipses also show you what you've been manifesting, or what you've been turning away from. Like, oh yeah, it's ugly. Libra doesn't like ugly or messy. I'm not going to look at that. If you know any Libra sun, rising, or moon, you look at their house, you look at it looks like a display. And you're thinking, does anybody live here? Where are the crumbs? Where are the wrinkles in the fabric? There aren't any. Look in their closets. It's very military, which brings me to the defense part of the program again, where Libra energy and a moon in Libra is feeling defensive over something that might have happened in the past, or feeling defensive about not realizing that you weren't part of the equation, that because you weren't allowing yourself to feel something. So that's why I say get ahead of it now. I like to talk about eclipses before they happen. Next week, we're going to be delving into the Aries solar eclipse that's coming up. And we had an Aries solar eclipse. Oh, I don't have that written down. I'm sorry. We'll talk about that next week. So, but in the meantime, you can get your double eclipse reading, solar and lunar, the Libra lunar eclipse, the Aries solar eclipse. Click on the link. I've only got a few spots because it's a very busy time, right? We're all undergoing our burgeoning phase and we want to get going. We want to move forward. We're ready for something to happen. So look back now, 6 months ago. Last October, we had a solar eclipse in Aries. Where did you advance in your world? What happened? What did you create? What thoughts were you thinking? What feelings were you feeling? I just got a new deck that I talked about. I was getting a new deck, and deck of cards. In a minute. This is by Denise Lynn. They're very lovely cards. The Sacred Forest. Oh, let me just take this off so I can bring you closer. The Sacred Forest Oracle by Denise Lynn. And the artwork is very beautiful. And I will just tell you who the artist is before Nick Welch. Is that correct? I want to give credit to the artist. I think so. Yeah. So I was looking at this eclipse coming up and what to talk about today, and I thought I'm going to use this deck and pull a card to see where to get you going first. What's the focus for any eclipse is always going to be your awareness, always. And it's going to be, how can I be more present? Well, feel your feelings, anchor yourself to what is happening now. Instead of reacting, we respond, right? Those basic, simple things, because everything in my world, even if it doesn't feel good, like I pulled something in my, like a muscle in my ribs. And for days I was just like, why, what now, man, this hurts. And I thought, all right, I'll just do what I can. I'm not going to force the issue and hurt more because I think I got to get something done. I'm just going to relax with it. So that's what I did. Okay. Oh, we have, we have enlightenment, because that's what it is. And it's a 19 in numerology, a 1-9, and a 1 is independence. A 9 is the ending. So 1 through 9. And it also relates to poverty consciousness, the number 19. So in the forest temple, you can find enlightenment. So where's your forest temple? Where do you contain any bits of poverty? Like, I'm not enough. It's not enough. I'm lacking something. Where does that show up in your world? The lunar eclipse is going to highlight that. It will actually, I like to say, it casts a glow. It's like, the eclipses shine a light. The solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse casts a glow, and you have this feeling, and you might be up for days trying to think about it in Libra. And then when you take the time to go into the foggy bog, you will have the patience to see. And what number is 18 equals a 9? And so we have a 1 and a 9 and a 1 and an 8. And both equal this awareness of self. What do I need? How do I feel? What am I thinking? Because when the body and mind come together, the spirit can be heard and come through. Spirit is ever present. It's who you are. This is just a physical aspect so that we can walk around on this planet and imbibe. It's like, ooh, this tastes good. Or, oh, that sleep was great. Or that was a fun ride. Or I'd never want to do that again. And so, but you need to understand your vibration. What are you doing with your vibe? Because when the lunar eclipse, when we get closer to March 25th, 5 degrees, and I'll show this again, 5 degrees, 7 minutes of Libra. We are well into the eclipse already. Right now, we're heading into it. And even after, they last for months, and everyone feels them differently. So following the lunar is the solar and Aries. And so when we see who was it? Who called it? Oh, there's a book. I don't know where my husband is. He knows this. The tipping point. It's like when we are polarized on one side of indecision or lack of harmony, or I have harmony in my personal relationships, but I don't in my business relationships. Why? What's the thinking that is creating this vibe that makes the separation? So then the center part is harmony. But then the extreme is the sun in Aries. And the sun in Aries is someone bullying you or forcing you, or no one can force you to do anything. Really, you're ultimately making every decision. But if you're thinking, I might as well just do it. I've lost my patience. I'm just going to do it. And then this part calms down. But then you heat up with resentment. So you want to be able to find that inner balance between who I am, what I feel, and what I express. Because when the solar eclipse comes around, it's a really big time of implementation. And if you implement on rocky ground because you're feeling something that you're not expressing, there's inconsistency. If you, I know a lot of Libra energy can be very controlling or self-controlled, contained, like, yes, everything is beautiful, everything is wonderful, and you have every right to think that or every right to feel that way. But deep down, they're like, hey, listen, bleeper, aha. But what's the extreme about? You don't want to express yourself because you think you'll be pigeonholed into, oh, she's a bitch, or, he just is, he must be an alcoholic because he has to be in control all the time and he has no, but yet he's so kind. I don't get it. So the extremes are going to show themselves. Hey, Sasha, good morning. Definitely have felt the inconsistency and it leaves this Libra sun unbalanced. Okay, well, then the way to get balanced is to stop identifying with the thought of the feeling. Elaine, what does that mean? You sound like Professor Owen Corey. Um, the thought, thinking about your feelings is not feeling your feelings. If you feel upset, if you feel resistance, there's a clue that you're withholding a feeling. And that feeling, you're encapsulating it into a ball because you think if you express it, if you feel it, number one, you'll go to an extreme and you don't want to cause harm. Number two, if you express it, you'll go to an extreme and you'll cause harm. But the extreme has already happened because you're withholding. Does that make sense? So find the easy place by doing something physical, as in working out, but not to the point of hurting yourself. I was lifting firewood and I pulled a muscle and I was like, no. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this done. And it's like, no, it's been a week now and I'm just able to sit up long enough to get some work done. So when you feel something, and it could be, the moon is intuitive energy. So when you get an intuitive blip of something and you say, oh, I, I think I've felt that. And then you go right into your head. And this is anybody, not just Libra energy, but this is anybody. Oh no, that's not. No. Is that true? And then we start thinking about our feelings. So I want you to be very present with how something feels and then work it out in the earth. Libra is guided by Venus, and Venus is about beauty, protection, finances, romance, but also things that are pleasing. So if you find it beneficial, and I always say you get your electromagnetic frequency to ground you by standing a foot or two away from a tree. And the biggest frequency comes out of the bottom of the tree. So then go sit next to the tree and put your back up against it or put your hands on it and just tune into the vibe of that tree. I'm a tree hugger from way back, literally. When I would be lost or confused or frustrated or feel like a victim, I would go sit by this big oak tree and I would feel so embraced by love. I would still have to deal with the issue because I was always afraid of hurting someone's feelings. So I would hold it in, thinking, oh, I could take it on. Yeah. Right. But then, the body starts taking on the hit and it's not healthy. So find a tree, put your hands in the soil, do some planting, some weeding, some gardening, and then find out from your psyche and the vibe and your intuition, what do I need right now? Right now. And that could be a cup of hot tea. Now, this is scientifically proven. You hold a cup that has and it could just be hot water that is warm, it will lower your cortisol. So there are little things you can do to look up and to the left. Hold that frequency, relax the vagus nerve. You can look up and to the right. There are so many little tips that you can do. But in the meantime, the overall arching theme of this Libra lunar eclipse that happens 5 degrees, 7 minutes, March 25th is, are you being authentic and true to yourself? If someone asks you, do you want to do something? You don't have to respond right away. You can say, you know what? Let me think about it. Let me feel it through and I'll get back to you. So put a pause on things. And what I used to say was the Gemini phrase, quote that they needed. It's for everybody now. And that is, I'm done. It's not done. I'm sorting through tax papers. I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm done. It's not done. Go do something that calms you, that grounds you, that helps you to feel restored. Because if you don't find your harmony on the inside, the outside gets more tangled, right? So Sasha says, I've been feeling prisoner to my emotional thoughts lately. Right. And emotions are not in your head. So understand that. The thoughts are in your head about thinking about the feeling. So now you just want to feel the feeling and name it. I would say for people who have trouble getting stuck, about decisions, it's because they're afraid to name the feeling, thinking they're going to cause harm. So on some level, so name the feeling. I feel frustrated right now. I feel angry right now. I feel indecisive right now. I feel, whatever it is. I feel these things. So when you start to feel these things, then you can say, okay, I have been, and then you move into the next bridge. And that is, I have been feeling these things, but I'm feeling calmer now. I was feeling this 20 minutes ago, but right now I'm feeling so much calmer. I'm so much more grateful, and allow that frequency to override. It takes this is a fact about your brain. And that is, as we wrap up here, it takes 3 positive thoughts to override 1 negative thought. That is a fact about your brain. So when you're in it and you don't want to let go of it, it's like, wow, I feel really frustrated right now. And you breathe through it, and then you pick up something warm and cozy and you hold that cup, and the cortisol starts to sink. And then you say, I was feeling really frustrated a few minutes ago, but now it's calmer. I'm feeling calmer. And you start to create that bridge. Libra and Gemini, extreme energies that need to create that bridge. And that bridge is finding the center. And the center is always in your heart. What you put out in your brain is a frequency. It's an EMF wave, and it comes back to your heart. Your heart's the magnet. And so then out, in, out, in. And so you want to find this harmony out, in, but you're always at the center. You're the one creating the frequency. So as you feel your feelings in this Libra lunar eclipse, start to really allow them. That's it. I would say Venus's motto is allow. Now, remember, you can grab my double eclipse reading. And in doing so, we're going to look exactly at where Libra is in your chart, and what was and what will be based on your new patterning that I will show you how to incorporate, so that you can take the next steps and be really present with conscious manifesting, because the eclipses fast track us. Really, it's like we get put on a conveyor belt of our own thoughts, and we're like, oh, keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And suddenly you have an awareness. The eclipse, lunar eclipse, casts a glow. The solar eclipse shines a light on what you've been creating and manifesting. So let's take a look at that in your chart, and we can help fast track you toward your dreams coming true. Thank you, my friends, always for being here. As always, I wish you peace. I will see you next week. We will talk I do have an appointment after, but we will talk about the Aries solar eclipse coming up on April 8th and how you can benefit by um, finding a little bit more courage without the impatience. Mm. How do we do that? Well, let's talk about it next week. All right, folks. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, as always, I wish you peace, and I'll see you next time.